In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Assalamu alaikum. I cordially welcome you all to my channel. I am Musaddiq Farooq, Assistant Professor of English in Higher Education Department of the Government of the Punjab. Now I have started this series of lectures in order to help you prepare for the test that is going to be conducted by Punjab Public Service Commission for the post of lectureship, and this lecture series of course is specifically designed for the candidates for the post of lecturer in English. After going through Anglo-Saxon, Anglo-Norman and Middle English literature, we are all set to start the first of great movements in English literature, that is Renaissance. Now, formative elements of this movements are various and not just confined to the events that happened in 1453. I mean, the fall of Constantinople. That was followed by fleeing Christians along with the classical Greek and Roman knowledge. It is generally considered that this particular event was responsible for initiating a Renaissance movement in European continent. Had it been so, Dante, Boccaccio and Petrarch would not have come under the influence of Roman literature at the end of 13th and beginning of the 14th century. As you know, that Chaucer visited Italy, and due to influence of these great writers, he wrote many of his great works in English language. Now, what is Renaissance? What does it entail? In the simplest possible words, it was a shift from a theocentric approach towards homocentric life, generally referred to as humanism. Now, human potential was recognized, and endeavors to increase the fund of knowledge came to be criticized less and less and encouraged more and more. Now, what I have said so far has been stated here in this slide. There are three main points: revival of classical Greek and Roman knowledge, homocentric attitude towards life, and love for knowledge in general. Now, I would like to explain a little bit all these points. Revival of classical Greek and Roman knowledge, as we all know that Euripides, Aeschylus and Sophocles were three main drama writers in Greek civilization, and Aristotle, Plato, Socrates were three great philosophers in that civilization. These great writers and philosophers set the tone for the culture of knowledge in human civilization. And as far as Roman civilization is concerned, great Latin literature also abounds. You must have heard the great names of Cicero, Virgil, Ovid and Horace. Sometimes it is claimed that Roman writers imitated the writers of Greek civilization, but we will not go into the details of how far this claim is true or not, but the fact stands that Roman writers were also as great as Greek writers. The other thing that I have put here is homocentric attitude towards life. I told you in the beginning of my lecture that Renaissance can also be understood as a shift from theocentric attitude to homocentric attitude. What was theocentric? Theo means God. Theocentric means centered on God. Now, religion occupied central importance as far as medieval life was concerned. So, freedom of inquiry and freedom of expression were dealt with very strictly with iron hands. But in the 16th century England, there was a shift from that theocentric to this homocentric attitude towards life. Now, human being was considered at the center of this world, and as I have already mentioned, the efforts to increase the collective fund of human knowledge was now admired rather than criticized. So this general conducive environment produced a love for knowledge in general in all the inhabitants of 16th century England. Now, this is the background of what we are going to discuss in this lecture and what the multiple choice questions are going to be about. Before moving to the multiple choice questions included in this lecture, I would like to clarify one thing, that I have changed the plan of my upcoming lectures. Since there are 4 things to be covered as far as the preparation for the post of lecturer in English is concerned, I have decided to include vocabulary in the lectures on literature. So in this lecture you are going to have some vocabulary also. In the other category, I shall combine information on linguistics and grammar in one lecture and alternate this sequence: literature and vocabulary, linguistics and grammar. Now, as far as general knowledge is concerned, it is very vast field, and I don't think that I shall be able to help you much in that area. So it is advisable for you people to uh, resort to internet in general, study maps, study about the countries and their capitals, and also have some knowledge about the prime ministers and presidents of major countries, their modes of government, some current affairs, some basic maths and science and so on. So I won't be able to cover all these things in such a short time. And respected viewers, this is going to be 11th lecture, as if we include introductory lecture also in this lecture series. And if you like this series of lectures, please subscribe my channel if you have not done so yet, and also press the bell icon that is present just beside the subscribe button, so that you do not miss the videos that I am going to upload in future. Now let's move to the multiple choice questions. Statement of the first question reads: Sir Thomas Wyatt is the pioneer of modern English poetry. He was born in 1503 and died in 1542. He is credited with bringing what into English literature? What literary form? If you are watching my lecture for the first time, I would like to clarify that when I read the question, you must pause the video, choose your answer, and then play the video and find out whether your chosen answer was correct or incorrect. Alright. The options are blank verse. Blank verse is a form of poetry in which there is no rhyming, right? In which there is no rhyming, but meter is still there. Usually it is iambic pentameter that is followed, but there is no rhyming scheme because there is no rhyming at all. Epic, it is a long narrative in verse, heroic poetry. Sonnet is a 14-line poem, and eclogue. Although I have already discussed this eclogue in one of my previous lectures, but I clarify it again that it is a pastoral dialogue, a poem in which village settings, rural settings is given, and it is in the form of dialogue. Correct option for this question is sonnet, right? Sonnet is the right answer, and he is credited with bringing this literary form into English literature. Alright, he did not invent it, he did not formulate it himself, because it was already there in Italian literature, so he brought it into English literature. The next question is: Sir Thomas Wyatt and Henry Howard, who is also known as the Earl of Surrey, and in short only Surrey, were among the poets who were commonly called what? Poets laureate, the scopes, courtly makers, or minstrels. Now, as far as beta and Charlie options, delta options are concerned, scopes and minstrels, we have read it in Anglo-Saxon literature that these were the itinerant reciters. These were the performers who moved from place to place and recited the poems that were in those times transferred orally from generation to generation. And as far as this term poet laureate is concerned, it is usually the title for the poet that was appointed as a member of the royal household to write poems for the state occasions. But the hindrance on the way to selection of this option, poet laureate, is that the conferring of this title was started much later. And the first poet laureate in the modern sense was Ben Jonson, who was contemporary of William Shakespeare, but the title became established with the appointment of John Dryden in 1668, right? So the correct option here is courtly makers, although they did something similar to that which was done by poet laureate, but here they cannot be regarded as poet laureate because the title started much later. Now the next question is 1550. In 1557, the works of White and Henry were published with the title Songs and Sonnets, written by the Right Honourable Lord Henry Howard, late Earl of Surrey, and others. This was the title. Now, what is this book generally known as? The Paradise of Dainty Devices, A Handful of Pleasant Delights, England's Parnassus. Parnassus was a mountain in central Greece, just north of Delphi, rising to a height of 2,457 meters. It is held to be sacred. It was held to be sacred in that time, ancient Greek civilization, by the ancient Greeks, as was the spring of Castalia on its southern slopes. It was associated with Apollo and the Muses and regarded as a symbol of poetry. Alright. Although all these options, Alpha, Beta and Charlie, are the names of some collections of poetry, but here the correct option is Tottel's Miscellany, and it was a very famous work in that time. Now the next question, choose the exact duration of Queen Elizabeth's reign. As you know that these monarchs are also very important in their lifespan, their reign. So this question might also appear in your paper. So you must know, because Elizabethan age in general is very famous in English literature. Here the correct option is beta option, 1558 to 1603. Right? Beta option is right. The next question, sonnet was an extremely popular form of poetry in the whole Renaissance Europe. How many lines does this literary form have? And I have told you in the very beginning of this lecture, in the question number 1, that this poem had 14 lines, if you remember. So there is hardly any doubt about it, and there is hardly anything to be discussed as far as the other options are concerned. Question 6, sonnet made its way from Italy to France and from there to England. Now, what was the most prevalent pattern of sonnets in Italy, and so called Petrarchan scheme? Now, there were different rhyming schemes that were adopted by different poets, and that scheme used to be in vogue for some time, but again it was replaced by some other scheme. So now the question is, what was the most prevalent pattern of sonnets in Italy, and so called Petrarchan scheme? There is Petrarchan scheme, Spenserian scheme, Shakespearean scheme. So what is Petrarchan scheme? Now there is different rhyming schemes mentioned, 2 quatrains and 2 tercet. 2 quatrains mean 2 groups of 4 lines, so total 8 lines, and the 2 tercet means 2 groups of 3 lines, so 8 plus 6 is equal to 14. Beta option is 3 quatrains, 12 lines and 1 couplet, 2 lines, 12 plus 2, 14. Charlie option, 1 octave, 8 lines, 1 group of 8 lines, right, and 3 couplets, 6, 14, or 7 couplets. From these options, the correct option is alpha option, and it says 2 quatrains and 2 tercets. Alright. Next question is, apart from writing sonnets, in which other literary form did White excel? Ballad, elegy, lyric, or epic? So even a little bit of familiarity with English literature and its history is enough to answer this question, because ballad, elegy and epics were literary forms that were hardly popular in that age. So the correct option here is lyric. Alright, next question, number 8. White's satirical poems are derived from Italian and an Italian poet, Almani. Now who was that? That will be placed here in blank. Horace, Cicero, Ovid or Virgil. I have mentioned all these 4 names, if you remember, in the beginning of this lecture. But as far as the satirical writings are concerned, satire is concerned, Horace is considered the most prominent poet. So it was from Horace that he derived his satires. Next is Ottava rima and terza rima are 2 important stanza schemes in poetry. The former has 8 lines, right? Ottava rima has 8 lines with 10 or 11 syllables in each line, with the rhyming scheme A, B, A, B, A, B, then a couplet C, C. But terza rima consists of iambic triplets, right? Means 3 lines, and iambic means that there are 5 sets of 2 syllables, and among that the first syllable is always unstressed, the next is stressed. 5 sets of such syllables, unstressed then stressed. Triplets means 3 lines. Choose correct rhyming scheme for it that it follows. Right, A B A, B C B, C D C, all these options are before you. It was the very first option, A B A, B C B, C D C. And the most famous poem that follows this rhyming scheme, Terza Rima, is Dante's Divine Comedy. Next question, number 10, is why tried his hands on sonnets? Right? Lyrics and psalms. Psalms are a kind of hymns. What did he write most admirably? Right? There is no doubt that he brought sonnets in English literature, and he also wrote some psalms, but the magnificence of his poetry reveals itself in its grandeur, true grandeur, in his lyrics. His lyrics are his best works as far as poetry is concerned. His poetry is concerned. So it is lyrics. Question 11 is Henry Howard, who is also known as Earl of Surrey, was born in 1517 and died in 1547 at the age of only 30. What was the cause of his death? Because he died so young, what was the cause of his untimely death? He drowned in the Thames. He suffered from bubonic plague. Bubonic plague was also known as Black Death because it had its symptoms in the form of black swellings in the armpits or in the inner thighs. Bubonic plague. Those swellings were called bubons. Next option is he was executed on a bogus charge of treason. He was stabbed by a random passerby. The correct option is Charlie option. He was executed. He was hanged on the bogus charge of treason. Right. In Tottel's Miscellany, there are how many poems by Surrey? Of which 36 are there in the beginning. Right. This collection of poems begins with 36 poems that are written by Surrey. Henry Howard, Earl of Surrey, begins with 36 of his poems, but in total you have to tell how many poems in total were there in that collection of poetry. Correct option is 40. Right? Only 4 more poems were there, so in total 40 poems were there in that collection of poetry by Earl of Surrey. What metrical and a rhyming pattern was adopted by Surrey for his translation of Virgil's Aeneid? Now this was a very famous work, and this was something for which Earl of Surrey is really known. If Thomas White is known for introducing sonnet in English literature, this Earl of Surrey is known for doing this. What? You have to guess. From his translation is in the form of Ottava Rima, Terza Rima, Rhyme Royal. It was employed by James I of Scotland for his poetry. That's why it is called Rhyme Royal. And blank verse. So the correct option is blank verse. I've already told you what it is. It is iambic pentameter poetry without any rhyming. There is no rhyming at all. So this was something, blank verse was something that was employed by Earl of Surrey, and he was known for it. What is Poulter's Myers in poetry? This is also a technical question in poetry. Iambic pentameter with no rhyming, alternating lines of 12 and 14 syllables, alternating pattern of couplets and triplets, iambic hexameter, right? Unstressed and stressed, and 6 such sets of syllables with A, B, B, A rhyming scheme. The correct option from these options, if we have to select, is B option. Alternating lines of 12 and 14 syllables, and there is no restriction of meter. 15. Tottel's Miscellany became so popular that its editions were, how many editions were published between 1557 and 1587? Since there is no scope of discussion here, the correct option is 9. Question 16 says, written in an old alliterative meter in the later part of the 14th century, Piers Plowman is by an unknown author but mostly attributed to William Langland is option. It is included mistakenly in this lecture. It was already there in the previous lecture. Question 17 says, old Pelmon that sung so long, so long until quite hoarse he grew. These words by Spenser refer to a poet and soldier whose longevity means a long age, and versatility had won him some reputation by the end of 16th century. Now choose the referent of the quotation. These words are by Edmund Spenser, but you have to choose about whom he said these words. The right answer here is Thomas Churchyard. He was born in 1520 and died in 1604. Although it was not so long age, but keeping in view the living conditions of that century, definitely it was quite a long age. Now, George Whetstone wrote a play that remained unacted with the title Promos and Cassandra. Now, this play is metrically insignificant, right? It does not have any importance as far as its meter is concerned, its poetical brilliance is concerned. Now, but provided the plot for Shakespeare's drama, Antony and Cleopatra, Mayor for Mayor, Romeo and Juliet, or King Lear. Correct option here is Mayor for Mayor. Alright. The last two questions as far as a part of English literature is concerned before going to vocabulary is question 19. Edmund Spenser was born in and died in. Interestingly, all these years are definitely lifespans of some poet or the other. 1564 to 1616 is the lifespan of William Shakespeare. Beta 1564 to 1593 is the lifespan of Christopher Marlowe. Charlie 1564 to 1599 is actually the lifespan of Edmund Spenser himself. So this is the right option, right? Option Charlie. And as far as delta option is concerned, of course it is not correct, but it is the lifespan of Sir Philip Sidney, who was a great English poet and courtier and soldier as well. The Shepherd's Calendar was published in, without going into any discussion, it was in 1579. Alright. Now we have to do some vocabulary, prepare some vocabulary. The first word here is excerpt. Excerpt, right? P is not silent here. First of all, it is a noun, so the option must be a noun. So 4 and 5 definitely cannot be chosen here. An extract or selection from written or printed matter. This is the correct option, without any further discussion. Now, if you have noticed it, I have violated something that I have been advising you till now, that you must read all the options. But here, I would also like to advise you through this violation that you might be trapped in some situation in which you have spent a lot of time in many questions and you are running very short of time, and you do not have enough sufficient time in order to study all the options. So you must have a quick bird's eye view. First of all, I've told you that excerpt is a noun, so the option that is correct also must be a noun. So straight away these two options are definitely struck off. These cannot be chosen. The next thing is excerpt. You can say an extract, a plant, the depression. Of course, a plant or depression cannot be the right options, whatever explanation is given with them. So you can employ it as your emergency method, quick bird's eye view. The next option is embezzle, to take apart. Right, it is a verb. So the option must also be verb. Take apart, this is adjective again, verb. To misappropriate secretly, or noun, right? So either 1 or 4. To take apart, no. To break away, break down something, no. The option is misappropriate secretly, right? उर्दू में अगर हम बात करें तो इसका मतलब होता है खुर्द बुर्द करना, राइट। खुर्द ये फारसी में डेफिनेटली है। खुर्द का मतलब खाना, बुर्द का मतलब ले जाना, मतलब कुछ खा लेना, कुछ ले जाना। इसका मतलब ये भी कहते हैं कि माली बेज़ाब्तगी, राइट, एम्बेज़ल, माली बेज़ाब्तगी। द नेक्स्ट ऑप्शन इज मोनोटोनस। इट इज फ्रॉम मोनोटनी, मोनोटोनी, नॉट मोनोटनी, okay, monotony. It is a noun, so the option must also be a noun. Adjective, first, discriminating, not possible. Monotonous is an adjective, sorry, discriminating, definitely adjective. So according to parts of speech it can be chosen, but meanings do not match. Discriminating. Next adjective is mutually interchangeable or convertible. Again not possible, because monotonous उर्दू में इसका मतलब यकसानियत, मोनोटनी यकसानियत कहते हैं। तो मोनोटनस बोरिंग, कोई ऐसी चीज़ जिसमें मोनोटनी हो यानी यकसानियत हो, तो वो चीज़ उकताहट भरी हो जाती है। तो इसलिए अनचेंजिंग एंड टेडियस ये जो ऑप्शन है, फोर्थ ऑप्शन, ये जो बेस्ट ऑप्शन हमारे पास है यही है। नेक्स्ट हमारे पास जो वर्ड है क्लेयरवॉयंस। क्लेयरवॉयंस जो है ना, ये एक छठी, इसका अच्छी तरह काम करना और उसकी बुनियाद पर अच्छे तरीके से चीज़ों को समझ पाना, ये इसका मतलब होता है। तो आप देख रहे हैं क्लियरली यहाँ पे जो ऑप्शन है आपके पास करेक्ट वो है इंट्यूटिव, सजेस्टी मतलब अक्लमंदी, और परसेप्शन यानी कि अंडरस्टैंडिंग, इदराक, समझबूझ। नेक्स्ट हमारे पास जो वर्ड है जी ये है क्रेड्यूलस, क्रेडिबिलिटी, क्रेडिबल, इनक्रेडिबल, ये फैमिली है। तो इसका मतलब यकीन से ये निकला है। तो क्रेड्यूलस वो शख्स होता है बेसिकली जो कि बड़ी इजीली यकीन कर ले किसी भी बात पर, उस पर ज़्यादा सोच विचार किए बगैर। तो ये एक एडजेक्टिव है। देखते हैं एडजेक्टिव्स कौन कौन से यहाँ मौजूद। 4 एडजेक्टिव्स मौजूद हैं हमारे पास। स्ट्रेट, अप एंड डाउन, करेक्टराइज्ड बाय फेयरनेस, इजीली डिसीव्ड एंड सक्यूलेंट। तो हमारे पास ये जो इजीली डिसीव्ड है ना, ये हमारे पास करेक्ट ऑप्शन है, क्योंकि मैंने कहा ना कि इजीली वो मान लेता है बात सोच विचार किए बगैर, तो उसको धोखा देना बड़ा आसान होता है। नेक्स्ट हमारे पास वर्ड है नॉस्ट्रम। इसके 2 मतलब होते हैं, या तो कोई ऐसी रेमेडी, ऐसा इलाज जो कि तमाम बीमारियों की ही इलाज और ट्रीटमेंट हो, जिस तरह के कुछ लोग जो थे माजी में दौरे जाहिलियत में मेडिवल एजेस में तलाश करते थे, या फिर कोई भी ऐसा इलाज जनरली जिसके जो असर है, जिसकी जो एफिशिएंसी है वो क्वेश्चनेबल हो। तो ये देखते हैं यहाँ पर जो है ना, यहाँ कौन सी चीज़, इसका कौन सा ऑप्शन जो है ना यहाँ पे इसके लिए। रिडक्शन डेफिनेटली आप देख रहे हैं नहीं हो सकता। डिसलाइक और हेट भी नहीं हो सकता। सेट और इम्प्लांट डीपली मुमकिन नहीं है। हैविंग द नेचर ऑफ सिस्टमैटिक ट्रेनिंग और सब्जेक्शन टू अथॉरिटी, ये भी ठीक नहीं है। एनी स्कीम और रेसिपी ऑफ अ शार्लटन करेक्टर, मतलब कोई भी ऐसी चीज़ जो कि क्वेश्चनेबल हो, जो कि फॉल्सली क्लेम की जाती हो लेकिन हकीकत में वो ना हो। तो आप देख सकते हैं बड़ी क्लियरली इसको हम चूज कर सकते हैं। नेक्स्ट वर्ड हमारे पास जो है ज़ैलट। ये एक ऐसा शख्स होता है जो कि मजहबी, सियासी या किसी भी लिहाज से बड़ा शिद्दत पसंद हो और अपने खिलाफ कोई बात सुनना पसंद बिल्कुल ना करता हो। देखें जी, एक है विकेडनेस, ये नाउन है, ये तो नहीं हो सकता। एडजेक्टिव हमें चाहिए होगा यहाँ पर। तो ये अनरीजनेबल एडजेक्टिव है, या स्टेल्थी और स्लाई है, चोरी छुपे काम करने वाला, ये नहीं। अनरीजनेबल ज़्यादा बेहतर है, जो कि गैर माकूल हो, अगली लिहाज से काम ना करता हो। नेक्स्ट है एब्रेजन। ये रगड़ को बोलते हैं, स्क्रैपिंग वगैरह को। जिस तरह हमारे पास सैंड पेपर होता है वो अब्रेसिव होता है। तो ये दैट विच इज़ रब्ड ऑफ, यही जिसका सूटेबल ऑप्शन है। यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हैं, बाकी ऑप्शन आप पॉज करके देख सकते हैं। अगर आपको लगता है कि इसके अलावा कोई और ऑप्शन हो सकता है जो मैंने बोला है, तो आप ज़रूर कमेंट्स में बता दें या मुझे फेसबुक पे बता दें। आप प्रीवियस लेक्चर में मैं आपको बता चुका हूँ कि मेरी फेसबुक आईडी क्या है। नेक्स्ट हमारे पास कुछ अब सिनोनिम्स दिए हुए हैं, तो ये आपने बताना है कि कौन से वर्ड्स के लिए ये मुनासिब है। पहला जो सेट ऑफ सिनोनिम्स है वो देख रहे हैं, एरुडाइट, एसोटेरिक, रिकनडाइट। तो ये एक ऐसा शख्स होता है जो कि बहुत ज़्यादा इल्म वाला हो, उस इल्म का डेफिनेटली चर्चा भी बहुत ज़्यादा करता हो। तो यहाँ पे जो दिए गए ऑप्शन है, बेविच का मतलब होता है बहुत ज़्यादा मशहूर कर देना, होड विंक, धोखा दे देना, प्रोफाउंड, गहरा। डॉडल एक वर्ब है जिसका मतलब होता है वक्त ज़ाया करना, और एट्रोशियस का मतलब होता है जालिम। तो आप देख रहे हैं एक ही ऑप्शन यहाँ पर है प्रोफाउंड, गहरा, यानी कि ये गहरा किसी हम नदी, नाले या दरिया और समंदर के लिए इस्तेमाल नहीं करते जनरली, ये हम नॉलेज की गहराई की बात कर रहे हैं। नेक्स्ट है ऑस्टियर, स्पार्टन, सेल्फ डिनाइंग। तो ये मंक्स जो थे उनके बारे में कहा जाता था कि वो 3 चीज़ों की किस्में खाते थे, ऑस्टेरिटी, लेबर एंड सर्विस की, राइट। ऑस्टेरिटी सादगी को कहते हैं, सादा अंदाज़ ज़िंदगी, लाइफस्टाइल। स्पार्टन भी यही है। और सेल्फ डिनाइंग यानी कि ऐशो इशरत की ज़िंदगी छोड़ देना, ऐसी सादा ज़िंदगी बसर करना जिसमें आप ख्वाहिशात को कम से कम रखें। एंशंट ऑर्डियस, एंशंट कदीम को बोलते हैं। ऑर्डियस का मतलब मुशक्कत होता है, बेविच मैं पहले बता चुका हूँ। फ्लर्ट, किसी के साथ ऐसी बातें करना जिसमें आप झूठ मूठ की फीलिंग्स का इजहार कर रहे हो। और नेक्स्ट हमारे पास जो सूटेबल ऑप्शन है यही है, वो है एस्थेटिक। ऑलराइट, नेक्स्ट जो हमारे पास सेट ऑफ वर्ड्स है वो है स्कीमिश, फास्टिडियस, मेटिकुलस। नीट एंड क्लीन, छोटी सी छोटी डिटेल का बहुत ज़्यादा ख्याल रखने वाला शख्स, ऐसा शख्स फास्टिडियस होता है, मेटिकुलस होता है। तो अप्रोप्रिएट, डेंटी, कमेंडेबल, प्रोफाउंड। इसमें डेंटी जो ये ज़्यादा अच्छा ऑप्शन है। डेंटी यानी कि बहुत ही नाजुक सेंसिटिव किस्म के शख्स जो कि छोटी सी छोटी डिटेल का बहुत ज़्यादा ख्याल रखता हो। अप्रोप्रिएट जस्ट मुनासिब होता है, जस्ट अप्रोप्रिएट, जस्ट प्रॉपर। तो उसमें ये सारी फीलिंग्स नहीं आती हैं जो कि हम यहाँ पे स्क्रीमिश वगैरह में दे रहे हैं। नेक्स्ट है नोविस, टायरो, ग्रीन हॉर्न, जो बिल्कुल नया हो किसी काम में। तो हमारे पास यहाँ पे जो वर्ड है जी वो है एपेथी। एपेथी होता है किसी की तरफ लाताल्लुकी का रवैया रखना। और ग्रैंडिलोक्वेंट बहुत ज़्यादा ग्रैंजर होना, किसी के अंदाज़े बयान में बहुत ज़्यादा फसाहत और बलागत होना। आर्डेंट, जोशीला। अप्रेंटिस, शागिर्द होता है। मिटिगेट का मतलब होता है किसी चीज़ की शिद्दत को कम कर देना। तो आप देख रहे हैं यहाँ पर अप्रेंटिस जो है ना, यही करेक्ट ऑप्शन है, ये शागिर्द है, अभी काम सीख रहा है। नेक्स्ट है हमारे पास एक्सूबरेंट, प्रोलिफिक, लेविश, अबंडेंट। तो बैरियर रुकावट को बोलते हैं। सस्पिशियस वर्ड हमारे पास ये मशकूक है। प्रोफ्यूज का मतलब कोई चीज़ बहुत कसरत से होना। बिविच अगेन पहले कई दफ़ा आ चुका है। एट्रोशियस जालिम होता है। तो यहाँ पर एक ही हमारे पास जो वर्ड है वो है प्रोफ्यूज, क्योंकि मैं बता चुका हूँ इसका मतलब कसरत से होना। तो आप ये अबंडेंट यहाँ पे देख रहे हैं। और लेविश है किस चीज़ की जो ग्रोथ है वो बहुत ज़्यादा होना। कैरिलियन और नेल, तो ये सिंपली एक बेल का नाम है, नेल जो है ना ये, इसलिए हमारे पास करेक्ट ऑप्शन है। बाकी अल्फाज मैं आपको बता देता हूँ। जो बाउंटी है ये भी कसरत को बोलते हैं। डेपर्ड, डॉटेड। आर्बिट्री जो है इसकी कोई प्रॉपर रीज़न ना हो, अलायंस, इत्तेहाद को बोलते हैं। नेक्स्ट हमारे पास जो वर्ड है जी डीवियस, लेब्रिंथिन, मिंडरिंग, ऑब्लीक, रैम्बलिंग, टॉर्ट्यूअस, सर्पेंटाइन। तो इन सारे अल्फाज में एक चीज़ जो कॉमन है वो ये है कि इसमें मतलब डीवीएस भी मतलब जो सीधा सीधा ना चले, जो सीधी बात ना करे, इधर उधर रैम्बलिंग, आवारा फिरने वाला। तो ये सर्क्यूटस जो लफ्ज़ है हमारे पास ये ज़्यादा बेहतर है इसके लिए बाकी सारे अल्फाज की निस्बत। बाकी देखें एंटी डिल्यूवियन, एंटिक्वेटेड, आर्केक, आउटमोडेड, बास और प्राइमोर्डियल। तो इसके लिए हमारे पास जो अल्फाज हैं यहाँ पे उनमें से ज़्यादातर अल्फाज आप देख रहे हैं ऐसे हैं कि जो बिल्कुल इसके करीब नहीं है मीनिंग के लिहाज से। तो ये आप यहाँ पर एंशंट जो है ज़्यादा बेहतर है, यही इसका ऑप्शन। जो बाकी थे उनमें कोक्स, बहलाना, इरेसिबल जो इजीली एंग्री हो जाए, लिमेंट अफसोस करना, क्लेम तारीफ करना। नेक्स्ट हमारे पास जो है जी, अब इसमें बड़े मुश्किल अल्फाज हमारे पास मौजूद हैं। इसमें 3 लेटर्स के सारे अल्फाज हैं और इनकी मीनिंग्स लिखे हुए हैं, आपने लफ्ज़ जो है वो गेस करना है। तो फर्स्ट जो है टू स्प्रेड ग्रास फॉर ड्राइंग, इसका ऑप्शन यहाँ पे करेक्ट जो बनता है वो है टेड 3। इसमें जितने भी अल्फाज हैं वो कहीं ना कहीं आ जाएंगे, बाकी जो हैं उनके कोई मीनिंग्स नहीं बनते, राइट। यूनिट फॉर मेजरिंग इंटेंसिटी ऑफ पेन, ये 4 है। डॉल, नॉर्मल ड्राउंड वैली, लॉन्ग वाइड क्रीक, इसको रिया बोलते हैं, राइट। ड्राउंड वैली और लॉन्ग वाइड क्रीक। नेक्स्ट हमारे पास जो ऑप्शन है जी वो है ह्यूमस लेयर फॉर्म्ड बाय स्लो डिकम्पोजिशन इन एसिडिक सॉइल। तो इसके लिए हमारे पास जो वर्ड है वो 2 है, मोर। नेक्स्ट है जो हमारे पास हाई म्यूजिकल टोन, इसके लिए हमारे पास ऑल्ट वर्ड है। सैप और रेसिन फ्रॉम द टर्पेंटाइन ट्रीज, ऑल्क। Poem, words of a song, it is dit. Next, लास्ट हमारे पास ये स्लाइड है. डिप्रेशन और पास इन अ माउंटेन रेंज, इट इज कॉल्ड स्मॉल volcanic cone, it is pi. नेक्स्ट लास्ट क्वेश्चन जो है आज का हमारा, वेज शेप्ड पीस ऑफ मेटल दैट होल्ड्स अनदर इन पीस. इसके लिए हमारे पास वर्ड है गिब. फोर्थ. ठीक है जी. तो ज़्यादातर आप देख रहे हैं इसमें अल्फाज जो है ना वो आ चुके हैं हमारे, मतलब आप इसमें रिया जो है ये वो वैली का नाम हमने पढ़ लिया, और इसमें बाकी इस तरह भी आप देख रहे हैं. बाकी जो अल्फाज नहीं आए वो उनके वर्ड्स को मीनिंग उनके बनते ही नहीं है, तो ये जस्ट कंफ्यूज करने के लिए आपको देगा. तो ज़्यादातर इस तरह के हैं. बाकी डिक्शनरी में से आप डेफिनेटली हेल्प ले सकते हैं. ये बात ज़हन में रखें कि जो वोकेबलरी है उसको इम्प्रूव करने के लिए जो बेहतरीन तरीका वो तो है रीडिंग. ठीक है, इसमें कोई इनकार इसमें नहीं है. और बाकी जो डिक्शनरी का इस्तेमाल है वो डेफिनेटली बहुत ज़रूरी है. ये अपनी हैबिट बनाएंगे. किसी भी वर्ड का मीनिंग किसी इंसान से, किसी जितना मर्जी अच्छा टीचर हो आपके ख्याल में, उससे बिल्कुल ना पूछें. राइट, डिक्शनरी का इस्तेमाल करें, क्योंकि आपको नहीं मालूम कि आप जिस वर्ड का मीनिंग पूछ रहे हैं आपने किस सेंस में उसको कहाँ पढ़ा था, कहीं पढ़ा था, और जो बताने वाला है वो किसी और सेंस में बता रहा होगा. एक वर्ड के कई कई सेंसेस होते हैं, समटाइम उसके वर्ड्स बिल्कुल ही मुख्तलिफ होते हैं. तो इसमें मज़ीद डिटेल में डेफिनेटली हम नहीं जाते, फिर कभी वोकैबुलरी की मज़ीद बात करेंगे. तो ये लेक्चर आपको कैसा लगा ज़रूर कमेंट्स में बताइएगा मुझे. राइट, और फेसबुक पे आप कांटेक्ट कर सकते हैं अगर कोई चीज़ आपने पूछनी है, कोई सजेशन है, आई विल हाईली वेलकम देम. टिल द नेक्स्ट लेक्चर, गुड बाय, टेक केयर.